Welcome to another episode of The Diplomats, this time covering the virtual face-to-face diplomacy tournament that occurred over the weekend in August 1 of 2020 called the Liberty Cup, which is a fantastic tournament with 70 players. It had everything you would want except for my co-host, Umble. I'm Go Horns Go. I've got Umble here. We're brought to you by diplomacybriefing.com. We missed out on Umble, but he's going to give me all of his critique of my play this time around. But before you do that, tell us a little bit about the briefing.
Yes, the Diplomacy Briefing is a weekly email that talks about everything that's going on in the diplomacy hobby. This coming Friday will be everything about the Liberty Cup. We've got a special article that's going to come from the champion, Tommy Anderson, describing his thoughts on how he won the tournament and giving some tips from that. But it's free. You can go to diplomacybriefing.com to sign up. And you can also subscribe through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But best is email. Get it right to your inbox.
And how much does it cost? Did you say free?
It is free, though. We have, I think, as I recall, 17 or 8. I think actually 18 supporters that help fund the briefing. We're getting ready in really a few weeks to start bringing on some new editors, and that's going to increase the cost of running the briefing a lot. So if anyone is out there wants to support the diplomacy hobby, you can become a patron of the briefing. We got several great perks that will give you the biggest thing is this: you're helping the hobby stay connected, because that's what the briefing's all about.
So here on the screen is the list of the best countries, Players' Choice Award, Tommy Anderson, the champion. And, even though there's 70 participants, I'm not seeing yours truly high up on this list, Umble.
No, I think you're going to have to go down a little while. You had been getting better and better, and then everything went backwards.
Everything went backwards.
Is this your worst finish, even than the one where you only played one game?
I actually finished worse here. You have to go to number 27 than I did in the one game I played of Dixie of the DixieCon tournament. So, but I wasn't eliminated from any game, I'd like to point out. Yeah. And if you can find a silver lining in any dark cloud, Hyman Roth in Godfather 2, they said about Hyman Roth is he always made partners for his money. He always made money for his partners. That's how he stayed in business. And in game 1, my big buddy here was Matthew Krill, who ends up finishing 7th. And in game 2, my big buddy was Nikolai Sage, finished 4th. So maybe I didn't do well, but the people I played with did, which should be a good sign to those of you listening in the future. I'm not a bad person to play with. Didn't stab either.
There's a term for that, I think.
Care Bear?
Chum.
I was the chum. Yeah. But okay, so we're going to go over the first of 2 of my games in this episode, which was Brandywine. We got it here on the screen, although we'll go back to fall 1901. I drew Russia, and I'm actually a very confident Russia player. I've done well with Russia many, many times, and I think that's because both in the South and the North, I can use my diplomatic skills a little bit to be a good person to work with. And so I drew Russia. I was totally fine with that.
I notice a name that seems to come up often in these episodes, though usually it's all from my side.
The first thing that was hard not to notice was Liam, the man that you keep playing, and we've talked about on many times before. You're not a huge Liam diplomacy fan.
Well, let's just say that Out of 4 games, I played him 3 times, and one I eliminated him, and then the other 2 in his own way have kept me from placing. Not that really helped him at all, just kind of hurt me. And maybe someday we'll finally be on a board that, I don't know. I almost groan every time I see that name now because it's kept me from placing. Not because he's like killed me really or anything. It's just taken a few little minuscule points away from me to keep me from getting a trophy.
This started out actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, in one game you were Austria and he was France. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, there was one, and then another one he was Austria and I was France.
So we're talking right off the bat, and I know who he is, but I don't think he knows who I am. But he goes, "No, we've played together. You were Austria and I was France," and I knew right away he was conflating me and you together. And I was in this ethical conundrum. Do I tell him no, I'm not humble, or would it be helpful to me to let him think I'm you?
What'd you do?
I let him think I was you. I didn't say I was humble,
Really?
but I didn't dissuade him that it was me, because
So
I
he
think
really thought,
yeah,
So he really thought that this was the 4th game that he played with you.
correct.
Really? That's
Well,
awesome.
I think that's what he did. He said that I was Austria. So he didn't say the 4th game. He said, we've played together. We played, you were Austria and I was France. And I'm like, no, I know that was humble. But again, you're right. He didn't mention the other game. So maybe he didn't get me
Interesting.
confused.
Well, I mean, I would think we sound different enough, but well, I guess I don't really know how you really did in these games at the end, at least not enough that I remember, and definitely not this game. I haven't even looked at this one.
So I'll give you the brief setup. I was nervous about Liam just because I'd seen his play. Not only, he's done well in the games, and I know you've not gotten along with him in the sense that he stopped you from doing some things that you wanted to do, and he dot grabbed a bit, and I was like, okay. So I'm talking to England, and I'm like, hey, this Liam guy? I go, he's a dot grabber. He's going to grab dots. Like, let's not fight because you're going to be, having to be on defense against Liam. And he's like, yeah, no, no problem. He was a Longhorn. He knew my name. So I think, okay, it's not going to go so bad with England as Russia. I got along right away with Turkey. Right away, I could tell he was a solid guy. But this is the first thing I need to have your advice on, which is, and go with that. I trust him. Okay, and I think this is borne out in this game that we worked well together. But he really wanted to move Smyrna to Armenia to try and gather some deception because he figured he wasn't going to get Greece. He didn't want to get in the middle of Austria and Italy on that. And so to play up at some point the deception and maybe convoy him out if he got the black in the fall, which I think he would have, I said, okay. So I agreed to this move to Armenia here. Meanwhile, Austria, pretty gruff. And Italy was just a super nice guy. I had played Italy before. I had sort of stabbed him, but he didn't hold any grudges against that. And I thought he was somebody I could work with. So here we have the opening. Everything's arranged. Every single move that you see here.
Okay.
Standard, I would assume. But what do
Yeah.
you think about me agreeing to the Armenia move?
Well, personally, like there's some people that do really well with making, allowing their position to be a little bit weaker. I personally don't like that. And at the same time, I don't know why in spring 1901 I don't know why disguising that you're fighting is going to ultimately be the best. I mean, maybe there's something in 1902. I think it's a lot of kabuki, or I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, kabuki theater.
Kabuki.
I was trying to say that. You're doing a lot of stuff that, for me, I would personally I'd rather just play it straight up. The Juggernaut's, tough as it is, and if you're gonna do some things to throw people off, I think more 1902 or 1903 is what you want. To me, it looks like just Turkey getting a better advantage. But it's not the end of the world. I mean, if you trust him. And what was his plan? What was he going to do with Armenia next? Did he tell you?
Gonna convoy it in '02, which is a
So,
really
so,
long time.
so he wants you to let him into the Black Sea?
Eventually, right? So, and a lot of times that happens. This is probably, and I did trust him, and I didn't want to rock the boat on that too much, and I let him lead the way on that. That's probably a bad idea, I think. In retrospect, I should have never let this happen.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't like doing that stuff. Some people do, but I'm generally a player like, hey, let's just open up, grab our dots, and then see what openings we have. And rather than, put myself in a bad position spring 1901, I just generally don't like doing that because it feels to me like you're gambling. Because here's the truth. If Turkey sees that it's smarter to attack you and get more units, then that's what he's going to do. So I rather make it, and I think you hold more cards there because, it's much more likely that you can get Austria and Italy to attack him than him to get Austria to attack you. So yeah, I wouldn't have done it. I would have said, if you move to Armenia, then I'm gonna, I want to work with you right away. But if you're going to Armenia in spring 1901, that's not going to be good.
I think in the final analysis, this is right. It gave Turkey, as this game develops, options because he did that, and it limited mine.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's not the end of the world because you can go forward. It's not friendly to Russia, and it's putting pressure on yourself where you have no pressure on him. So he can kind of just like hang out and wait. If he doesn't move that army away. He can just kind of hang out and wait till when the opportunity comes to grab some stuff from you. So I'm not a fan personally, but it's, some people like to play this way. They think that making themselves weaker then gives them an ally, where my general philosophy is, why don't you give people centers to make them your ally? So rather than making yourself look weak in this particular sense to gain an ally, instead, say, hey, I'll support you here. I'll help you grow. That's how I approach gaining allies.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the big news on the board is, if you notice, the English move to Edinburgh, which can only be, not only, but is most likely very anti-Russian.
Well, it's the same thing. It's putting kind of some pressure there on Russia that he can attack you if it wants. So he's giving himself a more offensive option. And it's very trusting, obviously, of France. So it's kind of signaling things. So hopefully you use that with Germany.
I did.
Good.
This is the first thing I did was I get on the phone with Liam and I'm like, look, man, because I'm thinking Liam, if he's a dot grabber, this is we got England going north, and look at these French moves, right? I've seen these before in the season 5 finals of Nexus, or 4 finals of Nexus. And I'm like, it looks Western Tripoli that's happening. And of course, this has happened a lot in my virtual games, it's Western Triple. So I'm talking to him about Sweden big time. Like, are you going to bounce me in Sweden? And he's like, I promise to consider not bouncing you. And I'm like, that's not an answer. You can say no. And he goes, I might let you take it. And I'm like, are you looking at what Turkey's doing to me? Are you are you looking at England? Are you looking at France? I go, you need to get me into Sweden, and you can write orders for Sweden. And he's like, I'll consider not bouncing you. Okay. So I kind of knew what was going to happen, even though I lobbied as best I could. Here you go. Yeah. He bounces me.
And see here, that's the other thing too. I think there's better things to do than, I would never say necessarily that way. Probably what I'd say is, let me talk to some other people and I'll get back with you, and then I wouldn't get back with you on it. Right. But at the same time, I think it was kind of a dangerous thing to do, because it did, unless he knew, that has the marks of an EF, but obviously he could be working with France fine. That's definitely possible. But Liam could work with France here. But it seems to me that in this particular setting, it probably would have been better to let you in and then, see what he has. Because if he's going to work with England, they can always take Sweden. It doesn't, that's going to be fine. So I think I think in this situation, unless he knew that he was going with England, he probably should let you in because it just limits his options.
England convoys the army to Norway. That can't be good. France has gone, obviously, all in on the Italy attack strategy, the Mediterranean strategy.
Yeah.
I get on the phone with France and England and France and Germany and try to point out like how France is essentially dooming himself and they've got all these juicy dots now, all the rest of it, and they were like, no, we're together. That's it. And I'm like, So.
Yeah. But it looks like a Western triple, obviously, grabbing Belgium and convoying. And
it's an odd one, right? I mean, because
I'm guessing it's agreed. Yeah. I mean, usually they give in a Western triple. I think usually the plan is no. I think they usually there's different ways to do it, but England
Germany
getting Belgium
gets 3 dots a lot of times.
Sometimes, but I think normally you give England that, and taking it with a fleet, makes Germany feel better. So it seems like that's all agreed, which once again, yuck. I hate seeing Western triple. To me, that is the coward's way to play these tournaments.
I think okay, there's a lot of them.
Let's all 3 of us gang together so no one can kill us, and if I was Germany especially, I'd be like, no way, because it's just so easy for then England and France to decide when to just, eat you alive. So if you're England, it's great. Sure. If anybody comes to me and says Western triple and I'm England, I'll do it all day. But definitely if I'm Germany, I wouldn't be that interested in that. But sometimes you have to do those things. But he probably should have let you into Sweden then and maybe misordered or done something to kind of make it not look right. I don't know. I don't think that was wise.
I mean, I thought about going to Baltic, but then I was like, look, I think I knew this convoy was going to happen. So I was concerned about being too far away from St. Petersburg. So
with Turkey,
I just bounced.
Did he tell you Armenia to Sev was happening?
He did, because, Austria basically announced he was taking Greece. I don't really understand, if on the one hand, if you notice that he's hitting me in Sev, but Bulgaria doesn't bounce me, right? So he so it's this deception thing again.
Well, you're not deceiving anybody, really. Because
right here, he's letting me in, and I mean,
if he doesn't hit you in Romania, then what that says is all that says is that this is whatever this is all agreed. So yeah, I don't get it, because I'm sure nobody was thinking Russia and Turkey are fighting here.
Yeah.
The only thing you could have hoped for, I guess, is that maybe Sev to Romania with support so that you guaranteed it. So there was that, I suppose. But I don't think maybe that was his thought, that you'd move the fleet to Romania. But if he told you he was doing Armenia to Sevastopol, then
no, he told me.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew both of those things were going to happen. But it was just and I was caught up in it too, this deception angle. Okay, here are the builds. I feel like I have to build north. Okay, I just felt like I had to. I sort of got along well with Austria. We had bounced mutually agreed. Sort of got along with Turkey. But I know I'm now very vulnerable in the south and the north. But I felt that the north was the immediate priority, so I built in the north.
I would probably build the army in Moscow, because you can always move it up. And you got some options and that's what I was about to say. You got some options to at least try to protect some of your units. So I would have probably built Moscow, because you can always move it north if you're not feeling it, feeling things out. But
I built north for, and as you can see, England just getting with a northern strategy, fleets in position. But look at Germany, which I sort of knew was going to come based on my conversation the prior turn, when basically Germany and England told me they were together.
Why didn't he build in Liverpool? Why did he build in London? That doesn't make sense to me.
I didn't ask him. You know,
Okay. I mean, you should be able to Liverpool because then you can push it up to Edinburgh to do a convoy, or at the very least, you know, keep it in. You can just move it to Yorkshire, but I don't get why you do it there. That doesn't seem as optimal.
So
anyway, Western Triple's going.
Western Triple's going big time. So Italy now has to divert. As you can see here, Austria is going to take advantage of this by moving to Tyrolia. He's also attacking Turkey here. So Austria's attacking two. I was on the line with Austria here. He didn't tell me he was doing any of this. Turkey tells me he's taking Sevastopol. He's like, look, we can blow up that fleet. And I don't really want to blow up the fleet, to be honest with you. I wanted to vacate so the fleet could have somewhere to move. And I thought I could move it to Rome. And so then I thought, well, I don't know what Austria's going to do with Galicia, so I'll just support myself in there. I think this is a very poor move set on my part. Turkey tells me he's going to get out of Sev. He's going to convoy. Of course, now he loses Bulgaria. So kind of behind the eight ball.
Well, and that army build in France, like you want a fleet build in Brest if you're really doing a Western Triple and keep throwing or hold it, because those armies, yeah, I may not be 100% sure, but if I'm Germany and I'm seeing not two fleets and instead an army build in there, that to me puts up my radars that though you don't need three armies. I don't ever do Western Triple, so maybe I'm not the best. Maybe I'm not the best authority on it. But army, I as I recall, you build fleet Brest and you throw those down because you want to put at least three fleets to even try to push into Italy. But an Austria's attack, is that an? We'll see if that's an attack on Italy. I'm not sure. I'm not
right.
This seems pretty greedy by Austria right now, but if he's
what I learned from Austria is apparently he plays on Web Dip a lot and is a good gunboat player. Other people knew him. I didn't ask if he was brother board, but he told me, he goes, I don't really play face to face. I just play gunboat a lot, and so I'm like, okay, and I could tell because he really wasn't that diplomatic. You got him going into Turkey here. Italy said he didn't know what was going to happen with that move, was not, asked for. He just did it. So
well, he might get away with it all because you're getting attacked, Italy's getting attacked, so he can be kind of opportunistic, and so that's definitely can get away with it. The issue he's going to have is that without Italy helping him at all, because if he takes Venice, that's going to happen. He's going to need to build fleets because Turkey's going to become more of a problem. So he's going to – here's the thing. If you're going to attack Italy, if he's going to do that, he probably should set up to do an AT. He shouldn't be doing Bulgaria because he's losing friends fast. And, I don't know. I guess I'll see how it works out for him. But I'm not sure attacking Italy at this point is going to be the best thing because I think the person who's going to more benefit from that long term is probably going to be France, not him. But we'll see how he, I guess, pulls it out. Diplomacy, that's the game. If he can get people to do what he wants, then he's okay. But from what you sound like, that's not the case.
It's not the case. I'll show you what happens the next turn. Here is where I was sort of conflicted. I got Austria to agree to do the convoy out. So I knew Austria was going to convoy to Bulgaria and could take it back because Austria couldn't defend it at that point.
You mean Turkey?
Turkey couldn't. Yeah, I mean Turkey's going to get Bulgaria back. Austria couldn't defend Bulgaria anymore because, as you can see, Serbia goes into Bulgaria, but there's only one support. And this is where I totally did not think it through enough. I think if I had been playing online, I would have leapt to the conclusion that in Austria's head, I thought he was just going to grab his dot back at Venice. And instead, he tells me he's going to support me back into Romania. And I said, okay. And I thought about dot grabbing him in Vienna, but I'm like, look at these German armies moving towards me. I can't be dot grabbing and throwing an army out of kilter in Vienna. Just going to go to Romania. I'll have Turkey out of my backyard.
Germany's builds, like he built Army Berlin and Fleet Kiel if he was going to be pulling that game. That was not good planning.
So here we go. This is my fall. Russia knew he was losing Bulgaria, so he decides. Austria realized he was losing Bulgaria, so he's like, I'm going to take Rome, and I'm going to take Venice. He loses Greece, but this is when I got in the game room and said, Austria, I mean, I'm not the best diplomacy player, but I think you have to have at least one friend. You know, and everybody started laughing. But yeah, so he's now attacked everybody. I had gotten Turkey to get out of there. I'm still defending St. Petersburg. Germany told me he wasn't gonna.
The thing though too is both France and Germany. You know, France is all on Italy, so you're being pressured by Germany. So he's got a lot of space in a way to be greedy, but he better build a fleet here. Because he's getting a build, right? No, wait, because Turkey supported Italy into Greece. That's a good job, Turkey.
Yeah, correct. He's not getting a build. So now I'm on the phone with England, and I'm like, England, look, dude, let me, you've got St. Petersburg. I can't stop it from happening now because Germany's gonna, clearly cut support, and I go, so what? I'll give you St. Petersburg, or I'll give you Sweden. I'll support you into Sweden, and you can have St. Petersburg. Let's do it that way. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. So here's my situation going into the.
Wait. So he did get builds because he got dislodged. Yeah, that's interesting.
He blew up his own fleet to build an army. That's what I wanted to. You remember, he got dislodged in Greece, but he didn't keep that fleet. He disbanded it to build an army.
He was going to need fleets if he's going to. I mean, because that turn worked out so bad for him, and that so because I think so, right? Did he actually go up though? Was he 5 last time?
Yeah, he went up 1, I think, somehow.
Okay. Well, yeah, I would have.
Because of Venice, he traded it. Yeah.
He's just not going to be. He's got to go with Turkey now, though, if he's going to have any hope, because he has to do an AT, and I don't know if Turkey really has. Well, I mean, Turkey played a great year last year, by the way, too. That was really good. I feel like letting you keep Sav was going to be smart, and supporting Italy and hold back France a little bit longer is good. So Turkey played a really good paced game year there. I thought that was very good.
So here I am. I mean, a full-on attack north. My big idea is to try and get England to stab Germany. I've got to defend Warsaw here. I've got Sev that's wide open. What to do.
Get that. I mean, if you're supporting St. Petersburg, I mean, the easy centers to grab are German centers. He's got an army sitting there in London. So as soon as he wants to convoy to Denmark or to Holland, he can just do that. So I think that should be an easy one to get him to do and not too long. So you didn't support. You decided to do Warsaw.
I decided to stop Germany because I was pissed. That was where I told Turkey, come on over to Sevastopol. I said, if we can kick you out in the fall, great. If you keep it, okay, that's fine too. Because
somehow you're going to survive to the end of this game, because I can see that somehow you're going to make it to the end, and I'm very interested to see.
You have to give me some credit, because look at how bad this is for a country. I lose St. Petersburg. I get bounced out of Warsaw. I lose Sev.
So you invite you invite Turkey into Sevastopol, you invite England into St. Petersburg, and then you didn't do the optimal one to hit Warsaw either. So the optimal
Correct.
moveset.
Correct. I should have. Well, because I didn't know that Austria was going to attack me, so I lose Warsaw.
But what were you
I
going to do
now.
with Galicia anyway? What was the plan to do there?
Well, I'm just trying to stay a little relevant in the South. I mean,
Yeah.
I should have moved to Livonia, I guess. But I figured I could have retreated there if it didn't work out. So yeah, I'm down to, if you look at this map, one dot, which is Moscow. That is the only dot I occupy in the spring of 1903.
Yeah.
This is not
So,
a good position to be in.
yeah, I'm just kind of now. I'm really going to be super interested. I am not going to be surprised at all if England convoys Norway to Holland next turn. And it looks like, let's see what we got here with France. All right, so Turkey moves in to hold Tunis and hold him back. Okay, which is smart. You wanna hold him back so that you can eventually feast. And he moves up into Romania. Convoy's over. All right, so yeah, there's just like so many Austrian armies. Huh. Okay.
So it's not looking good. I'm
No.
working all the magic I can work with every single person. But the key here is to not sound desperate, right? You've got to make yourself relevant to people, and how you can help. And if you notice, Sweden, which got dislodged, did support Norway to Sweden, which didn't go through. But your suspicions are right, because England reaches out to me now, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Okay,
I'll take the support."
I'm ready to go to Sweden.
Yeah.
I won't go any further in St. Petersburg. Will you help me?" And I'm so mad at Germany for doing this, and I don't blame him. I mean, but on the other hand, he caused his own downfall by leaving himself like this, right? Like he did it to himself.
What's his plan going to Gulf of Bothnia from Baltic? That's what it seems like. You're just like opening yourself up, because now there's Denmark, Holland's open. Like, what's he planning to do? What's his next move? I guess support. I guess the plan must be support Norway to St. Petersburg, get another one on it. But that, to me, what you do is you support Norway to Finland. It seems to me England's definitely just working Liam to say, putting him into a worse position, because those fleets are he's just opening himself up for a gigantic stab. Which, let me add, there's something else. He got soloed on last tournament by doing the same thing, opening himself up a whole bunch. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, so we'll go here.
Okay. Yep.
So Germany. Now I will tell you this: England told me what Germany was going to do, so I knew I'd get Warsaw back. So, so that's I would have made that same move, but I got Warsaw back due to England.
The only thing, I know it gives them an extra build. But I think that's being a little too greedy. I think he should have convoyed Norway back to Holland and put an army on the continent, because then you can build another army and you can convoy you can convoy over into Belgium and begin to get a presence. I don't think that was the best. That was not the most efficient move. He should have said no. I'll get Sweden next year, or maybe even supported you into Sweden. That wouldn't have been a terrible move. That's what I would have done. I would have supported you into Sweden and convoyed that army from Norway down into Holland, and then moved a fleet back. Or actually, you could. There's some other things you could have done. You could have done too to make that more enjoyable. But I think I would have probably done that. I would have. You're already getting 2 builds. Getting a third build is not going to help him that much, really. So I would have convoyed that army. I think that will get you a better year next year. But it's, he's still getting 3 builds?
Yeah. And if you notice, Turkey did get out of Sevastopol.
Man, come on, Turkey.
He didn't stay in.
He doesn't support Tunis, which is what I don't get. I don't know. I think you should have supported Tunis. But Italy doesn't trust him either. So
yeah. So I don't think that Turkey thought that Sev to Ukraine would succeed. But
yeah.
I mean, it did. And so at the winter here, I take off Finland. I'm down to 3. Kept my army.
That's amazing. You're still at 3. So why didn't you get Warsaw? Why didn't you lose Warsaw? What'd you do there?
Oh, I knew what Germany was going to do with his units because that was on the stab. England told me, so I just entered a series of moves to get Warsaw back.
Gotcha.
So I lost St. Petersburg, but I got the intel to get me Warsaw back.
And so here's the one thing though, Gohorns, you probably could have got England to pull that army back and take it with a fleet, maybe. I don't know if you put that towards them, but if you said, hey, the army you'd say Army Holland, move Norway to Holland, move that army back, you're going to get way more. But I think he just really wanted those 3 too. But he probably should have done it. Who knows? He probably wanted those 3 builds, but he's not going to be able to convoy them all off. That was my thing. Why grab it right now when instead you can set yourself up to do more? Because that fleet there in Holland's not that helpful. There's just better ways, I think, to do it. Because oh well, all right. So Austria, let's see what he's doing.
Austria is now cooperating with Turkey to, go there.
He had to do that. Yeah, right from the get-go, that's what he had to do when he attacked Italy. So attacking Italy and Turkey isn't good.
I think England makes a critical error here by not building a fleet in Liverpool because France and Germany pull back to fight England.
Really?
Which is going to be ultimately helpful to me.
Yeah.
But England's stab doesn't succeed ultimately.
Yeah, it feels like looking at this board that there's not good alliance building happening at all. And it feels like there's not great long-term plans. Like people are just like each season just, this looks the best thing for me to do this season. Next season, this is the best thing for me to do this season. And there's not a long-term coherent plan there.
I think that's right. I think that's,
England has it seems like a good idea, but yeah, I don't get that. I don't get either Turkey not helping keep France from getting Tunis. I don't know why Turkey would think it's in his benefit to do that. But so Austria and France finally work together, which, by the way, I think that's a good alliance to do if if you feel like you can both split up Italy, because you can take Italy out really fast. But I don't see AF's I think it's a great mid game alliance personally to eliminate a player and get them out so you can get a smaller draw size if that matters in the tournament. Oh, yeah.
Right. So here I'm. This is all arranged on my end of it with Austria and Turkey, and my pitch to them is, hey Austria, hey Turkey, okay, Italy's gonna get wiped out, which is fine. I go, but this is a perfect opportunity, right? I said, I've got some dots up north I've got to worry about. Austria, you've got a lot of opportunities with Germany because of how committed Germany is to England. Turkey, you have opportunities now with France. I said, we should be able to work with each other's mutual interests. That was my plan here. And they agree. And if you notice, St. Petersburg now is unsupported. So that was my pitch to all of these people. Turkey then builds 2 fleets. Another army build by Austria after taking out Italy, and then we go to 05, and I got Austria to go towards Germany. I got Turkey here to move the fleets, and I set up the attack for St. Petersburg. The only thing I don't like is this bounce with Serbia and Ukraine. Ukraine was supposed to go to Galicia, and so I'm like, that damn Austrian. But okay, fine.
See, and this is the thing right now going on with England. He's got that stinking fleet there in Holland, and so if he would have got that army, then he could have kept moving that forward. But what he's got to be doing. So I'm probably being a little bit harder on England, but that's a power that I really enjoy playing, and have done pretty well with it in all the different tournaments I've played, both online and he needed to have moved Holland to kill and Denmark to have it's very defensive how he's playing. Yeah, I don't think this is optimal. But he has France attacking him also. Yeah, he just grabbed too much. He didn't need to be as greedy. Grab your 2 builds, get better armies. All right. So Austria's about to grab a whole bunch of German centers. That makes sense.
Yeah, although I think he underplayed it. He put everything, as you're about to see, on Munich. I think, he could have taken Berlin. We could have in hindsight, but at the time I was telling him that I think he should just tap Berlin with Silesia and see if he could take it. But, yeah, here you go. Wow. I take St. Petersburg. Turkey's very concerned about a stab from Austria, but I got Austria to move to Galicia. Start getting away from me. So now the world's sort of, I feel like I've stabilized. It's taken me 5 years of diplomatic maneuverings to get to where I started the game.
Yeah. All right. I'd like to say this again. This is just poor planning by and large, and it's poor alliance. I would say you're not forecasting enough why people should stay allied with you. And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about England. This is just, I don't know, this is just messy to me. It just feels like people are just grabbing whatever they can, jumping every which way. And there doesn't feel like there's a puppet master on the board, that's for sure, that's moving everybody to his benefit. So Austria, that's the one thing, about being a middle power. If everybody's like just scrambling, Austria can be very opportunistic and grab stuff. If there's all kinds of just shifting power balances, Austria can just, nibble away and get back. So Austria actually, those are not a bad time to be very kind of greedy when everybody's fighting each other as Austria, because you can usually get away with grabbing centers from people back and forth. Until people get mad at you and decide, no, let's take them out.
Okay, well, I care mostly about me, and there's not much in the game left here, but Humble, right. What should I do?
Okay. You're at
North
4
or
right
south?
Now. Yeah, there's not a lot for you to do, and you've got 4 armies, huh? Well, if you got,
should I have built the army in Sevastopol? I thought about building a fleet, but then I'm like, that can't be smart.
I probably, honestly, if I'm you, I just want to live to the end, because, if I'm you at this point, I suppose what you want to do is say you're setting yourself up in a good defensive position, drop Moscow to Ukraine, move St. Peter, or, I guess you could bounce in Ukraine. But I think you move Moscow to Ukraine, move St. Petersburg to Livonia, and just kind of see where your options are going to be. I mean, you could move to Moscow. You could drop down and take something from Turkey, but I feel like Austria is going to be going for you next if he sees that you're open to grab dots
from. This
was
precisely the DBN guy said that I should move Sevastopol to Armenia. I didn't want to do that. One, if there's anyone who's done me nothing but favors in this game, it's been Turkey. And for me to dot grab Turkey, I was like,
and that's
I
the
can't do
thing.
it.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like, what is that going to accomplish too? Because Austria is just, if you don't have Turkey working with you, Austria's going to be taking your other dots. I don't know. It's.
I decided to go north.
I would probably do Moscow to Ukraine, and I don't know. That's probably playing conservative, but that's more like I don't like to get eliminated either, and so I would rather be a little more defensive, I suppose. It's hard to say because Austria's got such a solid spot that I don't know. I mean, if you can get everybody together to jump on them, then yeah, attack Austria, go all the way in and attack Austria. But you can go down and get Turkey, but I think the ultimate winner in that is going to be Austria. But I could be wrong. I'm trying to do a quick board read on that. I think probably not hitting Turkey is probably the better option because other people are going to get more gains, I think, than you. But I could be wrong. You can, England's getting pressure, but Austria's not getting any pressure, and Turkey can't attack him. So it just seems to me that if you attack Turkey, Austria's going to be getting Bulgaria and Greece at a minimum. He needed to build a fleet. Austria needed to get a fleet, I think, at some point. But
let's see what I mean.
I at his point, he's just trying to top the board. So
I make a move north and lose the 50-50 guessing game. I should have moved to Finland. Germany tells me he'll help me. I moved to Livonia with the idea of a convoy because Germany said he'd convoy me up. So I said fine. So this is what I decided to do. As you can see here, England makes not a bad effort. He gets back into Kiel. Got France turned around, worried now about the AT. But look at Austria. Look at the German army in Ruhr.
Yeah.
Supporting Munich to Burgundy.
Yeah. Hey, I would probably do that. So I'd probably do that. Well, good. Austria's, good.
So this is good for Austria. I'm a little upset. I know, I'm not the focus of the game here, but this time I secure Finland, but England's going up to defend.
Yeah.
Sort of got Austria at bay here. Okay, that's fine. And Austria keeps rolling.
No.
This is bad.
No, England needed to go Denmark to Baltic, in my opinion. You got to keep. I don't know. I mean, I get why he's doing it. It's defensive, but you've got to be pushing. England is not in as good a spot just because back in 1904, I think he decided to grab as many as he could instead of getting better position for a longer term gains. So, all right, Austria's doing good. It looks like he's just trying to top the board. So it looks like he's probably going to be able to do that. Maybe. Well, the problem is, Turkey's is grabbing some stuff from him.
He had to do that with Turkey, right? So that was Turkey's sort of price.
Right.
And ultimately, this was ended up being bad news for me. But Turkey got 2 builds here. Yeah. But I think I'm going to be okay. I think
yeah. If he gets to build some armies, then
I'm begging him to build armies.
Yeah, no.
He built fleets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, he said that was the price that I'm like, I told Turkey, I go, you can't solo if you don't. I mean, not that I want him to solo, but I tried. I just think that he's giving Austria such a free rein here now. That this was not a great idea, but that was the price Austria enacted.
This is such a messy board. It's so messy. It's, like for me tactically, like I try to be efficient, move as quick, move as efficiently as you can, put all your units, work together. And this is like a mess. I have to say, like trying to figure through tactically, like with Austria, Austria's position's not that great because even though he grabbed some centers, he's surrounded by other units. So I don't know how this is going to work out for him. He's,
So meanwhile, my goal here is to be ahead of France in the draw. I mean, it's a small goal, but I, I think it's, you know, in sight here. I'm willing to help Austria and Turkey do that. Just, you know, hoping to maybe even be third. And I think I'm definitely taking a dot in Scandinavia
If
because
I was
it's,
Turkey, I would
yeah.
have built armies for sure. If I was Turkey, I would have built armies for sure. I would have looked at his position and said, I can take Venice. He's going to lose Paris. He's going to lose Munich probably eventually too. I would have built. I would have built armies. He's made it so that it's probably impossible for him to board top. Yeah, we'll have to see, but I bet you.
So here's a set of moves in Scandinavia. Again, I'm focused on me. I looked at this even after this game was over
That's terrible.
for you know, 20 minutes. And I still don't theoretically understand why I didn't take
Right. Yeah. Finland and Norway.
I mean,
Finland and Norway with support is what you need to do.
So he bounced Norway and Sweden and Finland.
Yeah. So Norway cut Finland support.
Yes, exactly. So that meant that I didn't take Sweden with the convoy, and I didn't take, you know.
You probably thought North Sea was going to support Norway, I guess.
I think now in retrospect, but I don't remember, to be honest with you. I just remember thinking it was a done deal, you know. And I kept looking at the map like, you know, they've messed up. You know, it's a mess up. Backstabber screwed it up, and I finally figured it out. But it was
the other thing though is he.
Humble?
Yeah. So, yeah, I said you could have done Finland to Sweden with support from Bothnia, and then cut their support from St. Petersburg.
Yeah, it just didn't do it. The bigger problem for me is right here, Ukraine. If you notice, I was just going to supposed to bounce in Warsaw. Yeah. All right. And instead he supports me there, which means because he went Budapest to Romania that he was going to grab Sevastopol.
And that was the thing. It was like, you know, he has no threat from Turkey, and Austria was always going to grab some stuff from you if it was going to be open. So I that's where I felt like, I don't know, you can pull something out of the position. It wasn't terrible going for England. You could have come back maybe and done some things, but Austria was always going to try to grab something, and with Turkey not being aggressive.
Yeah, I don't think I needed to do this convoy idea. I still would have had Finland and St. Petersburg units up there with a German fleet.
You know, and see, Turkey, like, there's just option. Like, he could put an army into Rome and do Naples over to Apulia, and put Rome over into Tyrrhenian Sea, or you could still do it up to Tuscany, and he could strive to take some stuff. Because I don't think he's going to outgrow the others if he doesn't attack Austria. That's where the dots are. So you need to try to get to 10 at least. And so where's he going to get that next 3? It has to be from Austria. So yeah, I don't think that's going to work out. Maybe he tops the board, but he's made it very difficult. He could have gone to the Black Sea and at least taken, you know, Sev from you. It doesn't look like he's even doing that.
Yeah, no, he's not doing that. And he just said, yeah, I'm taking Sev. And at that point, I was just like, you know, he's like, well, maybe I can do something. I'm like, no, I said, I'm done fighting England. I said, I'm just coming back and defending against you. And he said, fine.
It's a mess. If he's going to attack France, why doesn't he just convoy to Belgium, England? Well, I don't know if he's going to attack them, but he probably should. He probably should take Belgium while he can. What a mess.
So this was the move here that really helped. If I sort of became convinced in my head that I kind of need to move to Ukraine
Oh, England misordered.
No. But I'm in my Warsaw Army. Kind of needed to move to Ukraine because I was worried about Moscow and all the rest of it being undefended. But then I realized I go, he's just can move Galicia to Warsaw. If I move to Ukraine, and then I'm going to be down Sev and Warsaw. So I go, there's no way I can move to Ukraine. I have to move to Galicia. Austria didn't think that through. He moves to Ukraine. Uh, and so this puts me in a position to stay alive right here. And then without, I mean, now Turkey's got to cover Bulgaria because he doesn't trust Austria.
Right.
There's nothing that can be done with Turkey anymore on the fleets. And so,
Goodbye, Liam.
yeah, Liam leaves.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm on the, we're all in the room together. And I'm just like, you have to draw. I go, there's no solution for anyone beyond what you have right now. I go, Austria, if you don't want to draw, England and Turkey are going to do something to you. Same thing, England. You're going to unite everybody. And France, if you don't do it. I said, I'm going fourth or fifth or whatever it is. I said, but it's the only solution forward. And we drew. So the game draws at this point.
Okay. I don't think it should have drawn, but I mean, I think there's a lot more game left. I think there's a ton more game left, actually.
I think there was too, but I was sort of pressuring that. Austria said if I wasn't in Galicia, yeah.
That's what happens. These guys that like only have 4 centers left, they go, they know that they're probably going to be eliminated, and so they start pressuring, and guys that aren't confident enough, oh yeah, well, they just agree to it, and there was a lot more game to play here. Yeah, I would have never drawn if I was Austria, even if I was Turkey, or if I was England, because there's they all have legitimate ways to try to get a board top. That was that's disappointing to me, but good job for you.
Well, I don't think it would have mattered, right? Because under Carnage scoring, as long as there's no solo, I would have finished fifth no matter what.
No, yeah, it's good for you. It's just for the other three,
Yeah.
that England and Austria splitting points and all that. I think there was a lot more game left to play. Someone there should not have accepted that draw. So, it's good for you.
Yeah, Turkey didn't want to originally. I could tell because he was only at 8, but he felt pressured and he did it. So yeah. I took it. I made a lot of mistakes in this game, but I think my mistakes were mostly of the diplomatic variety, and then a couple of tactical ones. Not thinking about Austria's incentive to be as greedy as he was. But right. I enjoyed this game.
Yeah. It looks like definitely there was a lot going on. It's really hard for me to get a board read, with how much of a mess this board was. Like to be like, hey, tactically you should do this, this, and this. It was kind of difficult to try to do a quick board read across the board with every single player and what there was best for them. But I really feel like what was easy to see was England wasn't very efficient because they could have been in a much better position, and it didn't work well. Maybe France went back to attack England because England hadn't worked it out with France to stab Germany. I don't know, but England should have been able to offer incentives to. France was just going everywhere. That's just throw some units here, throw some units there. So he deserves the 5 that he's at. Yeah, I don't know. It's that whole thing was a mess. It feels like nobody really played a really strong game.
Well, you have to take the little victories where you can. I was happy to survive from being from one center down in 1903. So you do what you can, and I scratched and clawed my way to where I'm at. I was happy that Germany left before me. and that I even got him to try and help me out as best I could. Humble, thanks for your commentaries. Thanks to the briefing for supporting us. I really appreciate it. Everyone should sign up at diplomacybriefing.com, and we will be back to talk about by game 2, which I think went better, although there's probably more to criticize. Thanks. Good night, Humble.
Good night.